back to my channel. So I wanted to make a quick tutorial on my two favorite tricep isolation exercises. So that's going to be the dumbbell skull crusher and a dumbbell French press. As most of you know by now, because if you're watching this channel, you've probably watched a million other fitness YouTube channels. In order to get big arms and to get a big bench press or a big overhead press, it's a non-negotiable. You have to train your triceps in some kind of isolated manner. It turns into this discussion of like what exercises, because some of them are gonna give you more stimulus, but at the same time they'll give you more fatigue and they'll beat your elbows up a lot more. And then on the other side, you'll have exercises where they're a lot less injurious to the elbows, but they might be not quite as good at stimulating growth. And so that's the balance you play. So on one end, you have JM press, which is a super high fatigue, super aggressive tricep builder, where if you do it properly and you program it properly, you won't really have too much elbow issues, but you'll get a shit ton of growth. And then on the other end, you have something like a band press down or a rope tricep push down, where you will get a good but not great or elite stimulus on your triceps, but you basically can do a million of them for a million sets all to failure, and it's not going to really do that much to your triceps. So these two exercises are going to be in the middle, and they're both very similar. There's just one little nuance, and we'll go over that. All right, Jacob from the future back. Something I forgot to add in my original recording of this was the sets and reps and frequency of this. So I would do this toward the end of a workout on a day where you've already done either bench press or overhead press, or on an accessory day where you've done some other kind of similar movement where it's heavily loading the triceps and the elbows. I would say, honestly, anywhere from 2 to 4 sets of 8 to like 30 reps even is gonna be a good range for this, either of these exercises. So it's more about mixing and matching what works for you. Personally, I only will do 2 or 3 sets of pretty high intensity type movement. This is not something where you wanna like save a bunch of reps in the tank. You wanna go all out so that the hard reps on your joints are actually worthwhile. The way you do a dumbbell skull crusher is really simple. So you'll need 2 dumbbells and a bench, okay? You're gonna get your hand all the way at the bottom of the dumbbell, okay? This is just gonna help your wrist stay supported while you do the movement. And then what you'll do is you'll go from there, lay down, almost into a bench position. From here, you're going to bend your elbows and reach the weight back to be roughly in line with the top of your head or even a little bit further behind. Okay, and all you do is bend and straighten your elbows. It's that simple. So something I want you to make sure that you're doing with this, make sure you get a good warm up in. Maybe you've already done your bench press work or your overhead press work, and that on its own should take care of keeping your elbows warm. But if it doesn't, you can do stuff like dead hangs, you can do stuff like press downs, just to get some blood going in your triceps and in your elbows to make them feel good. Why do I use 2 dumbbells instead of using a barbell or an easy bar? So there's 2 main advantages. One is that you get unilateral stimulus on either arm, so it helps to prevent or get rid of imbalances from left to right. It also doesn't force your wrist and elbow into a worse position. So you're still getting the same stimulus as you would with a barbell or an easy bar, but you are gonna be getting a lot less fatigue and beat down on your joints. So those 2 things on their own are more than enough to say, basically you can just take barbell skull crushers, throw them in the dumpster, and then there's a time and place for easy bar stuff. But mainly I stick to dumbbells 90+% of the time. In order to do the French press, you'll get 1 dumbbell. You're gonna sort of get your palms underhand like so. You're gonna bring it up and it's gonna be over your head. And then from here, you'll bring it down slowly and under control to be behind your head until your arms are fully bent and you feel somewhat of a stretch in the back of your triceps and in your lats. And then you'll just go straight back up. So that's a movement where you can use barbells and easy bars, but if I'm honest with you, I've never really tried that because the weight is gonna be so far reduced on a French press that it gets to be kind of ridiculous to go out of your way to get an easy bar or a barbell just to load like 5s or 10s on either side, where you could just get one 50 to 70 pound dumbbell, crank it out for a bunch of reps, and then you've gotten your stimulus without having as much setup time. Something I want you to pay attention to with both of those, and I do this with all tricep movements, is that you want to have somewhat of a slow eccentric, not like insanely slow where you're trying to intentionally making things harder. The reason why is because when you get into this super bouncy movement with the triceps, it tends to beat down your joints even more. And again, we're trying to get the highest amount of stimulus for the lowest amount of fatigue. That's that whole stimulus to fatigue ratio that all these guys like Alex Leonidas and Alex Bromley just fucking love. And I love it too, but your execution of an exercise means as much as the actual exercise itself.
Write that down, write that down!
Why would you use one over the other? Now, if you're a hypertrophy enthusiast, to be honest with you, you're probably gonna wanna use both and just rotate them in and out. That's just because you want to have enough time with an exercise to actually adapt to it, but not so much time that it becomes kind of redundant and stale. You'll rotate them probably every 4 to 8 weeks, maybe even a little longer than that, depending on how much you like one exercise versus the other. For strength enthusiasts, there is kind of a difference because we know that strength is joint angle specific, right? So if you want to get strong at extending your elbows overhead, you got to do something like a French press or a shoulder press. If you want to get good at strengthening your triceps through sort of a middle range, sort of like a bench press, you have to be laying down. See where I'm going with this? If you're in a block or you have a day that's dedicated to strengthening your bench press, then you'll do the skull crusher or a variation of it, just so that you can get that joint angle specific movement for the bench press. And then likewise, if you have a day where you're trying to get your triceps stronger for your overhead, you will want to go more in that direction. On paper, you'll get more muscle growth from the overhead position because it does put the long head of your tricep into a deeper stretch with the same or an extended range of motion compared to the dumbbell skull crushers. But realistically, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, especially since you're going to be using less overall weight on the French press as opposed to the dumbbell skull crusher. So it all kind of comes out in the wash. Thanks guys. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Let me know what you guys like. Thanks for watching. Take care.